Happy September, everyone. The temperatures might be going down, but our ratings are skyrocketing. Welcome to What's My House Worth? This is Ryan McDonnell. I am Rob Ticktin. We're with Hawthorn Real Estate. We are a design build company. We're also a real estate brokerage company, and sometimes, Ryan, we are both.
That's right, Rob.
But we are here today not to talk about September, but to go back and talk about August. The August sales in Needham, single-family sales, Ryan, per MLS. And overall, as we start to dive into the data, Ryan, what are your thoughts on August?
August, Rob, was a pretty busy month as August go. We had 35 homes close, single-family homes selling in August this year. And that's down from 46 in July, but we figured July was going to be the peak.
Yep, no surprise there.
No surprise there. The average list price also dipped a little bit, down into the 850s, about 855.
Second time this year that we've dipped in the eights for both average list and average sales.
And both of them, average list and average sale, were both down from about 950 last month.
Right.
But still, the percentages are still real high. 100%. Homes are selling at 100% of asking, and 99% of original asking price, which is really, that's a true indicator of a strong market for me.
Absolutely.
The average sales price per square foot, $360. That's up a bit from last month at $357. Still numbers that we both agree are very high.
Also, the second highest number actually for 2014 is $360 per square foot.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
The average days on market, 45 days. That's incredible, and it's the same number that we had last month. And then we have, comparatively, we had 38 homes selling last year in August versus the 35 this year.
Well, as all of our viewers know, we are all about the graphs, and it's time to look at graph number 1, which shows us the trailing 6 months. And when you see that, anything jump out there, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we talked about last month, we're typically accustomed to seeing that peak be in June, and then have the July be a little lower than June, and then August below July. But it's just 1 month off, which means we could see a really maybe strong set of numbers for September closings before we hit the, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, off air, the doldrums of the summer months that we see trending into fall closings.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but as I peek ahead and look at the market data on what the market looks like now, something tells me September is going to look an awful lot like August.
Right.
So I think you're right on point there. Now we take a look at our next graph, which you see in front of you there, and that looks like a pretty steady August track record, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's a pretty good run of August right there.
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean, so really this is just holding true to the type of numbers we've been seeing year over year for the month of August.
Okay, so we've done our graph thing. Now it's time to do our individual listing thing.
Yep.
We are going to look at those 35 sales. We're going to start low, work our way up until we get to the big seller. But before we get there, let's go over to Gay Street.
Why don't we?
Let's see a little bit of red writing.
Yeah,
out of
it's
the
early.
gate.
It's early.
I know, it's aggressive.
Wow. I mean, we don't want to peak our show too early. But
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think we might have peaked it in 2012 if that's too early. But listen, when I think about what my deal of the month is, I can't be swayed by where it falls on the graph.
No, nor should you.
No. So it lands at 64 Gay Street, and it's pretty cut and dry, pretty straightforward. This has really less to do with the house, Ryan, and more to do with the lot. When you're talking about a 10,000 square foot lot on a quiet street in a good neighborhood, I hear those things, and I think you're looking at probably close to $600,000 for that piece of land. Mm-hmm. This one goes for $475. It abuts Trout Pond, so I don't know if that's a plus or a minus. Some would probably argue both, but I think whoever got this house, it's $475, got themselves a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and from what we hear, it's a contractor who's going to renovate it.
And I think in order to put it into context, we can actually go to the next listing, which is 55 Pond Street, which is not far away from Gay Street. And it's comparable in the sense that it appears like it's a land sale.
It is a land sale.
It is a land sale. Ryan's just confirmed that.
That is
so
confirmed.
The question is 55 Pond Street worth $90,000 more, Ryan, than 64 Gay Street?
Well, I mean, I guess according to the buyer and developer at 55 Pond Street, it is. We looked at that lot. I didn't love it from a topography standpoint. It's sort of up off the street. I mean, but it's still, you're talking about getting a 10,000 square foot lot in the mid fives, where those properties are going in the sixes elsewhere in town. And this is, like you mentioned, this is a nice little spot. I mean, it's a quiet neighborhood. It's in the Newman School District, and I think this is a lot of upside here.
Yeah, I think an appropriate sales price, though,
Yeah.
certainly. Whereas I think $475, I think the buyer got a good deal on that. 354 Honeywell Street. So Ryan, I did something a little bit different for this listing.
Fun.
I showed an interior picture.
I noticed that.
As opposed to the exterior picture. Any thoughts on why I did that?
Well, the exterior picture, I didn't love it even when it was on the market.
Okay.
But no, I don't know why you showed this, but I can't wait.
Well, the reason I did it is because it's very rare that you see interior photos on a listing where they were taken at nighttime.
Oh, okay. Sure,
and
that's
so
fun.
So it was all very dark.
Yeah.
All the windows, there was no light streaming in. And I'm guessing this was done strategically, maybe as a way to differentiate the listing, perhaps?
Maybe,
don't
or
know.
it was just a scramble to get the pictures in because
Oh.
the house was going on the market. So you never know.
That's a theory.
But we'll give the listing agent and the seller the benefit of the doubt that this was calculated and it definitely caught at least one person's eye.
Yeah, I mean, I would say over the course of a year, maybe I see that twice. So it's rare.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Halley's Comet of listings. This one located at the corner of Honeywell and Hillside.
Yep.
46 St. Mary Street is next up on our list. I feel like we fairly consistently hit this street with on the show. No?
Sure. This is a big lot, at least. This is 17,000. That's a segue. This is a 17,000 square foot lot. I mean, pretty good sale price, I think. I mean, the house is a little dated. It's a ranch. Or is it? Yeah, it's a ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Does have a big lot, but this isn't an area of town where you see particularly high postings. This one's getting $600,000, Rob.
Speaking of high postings, you notice anything on the picture as you look at the listing? You notice anything?
Well, is the tower behind it?
Yeah, see, look, behind us.
Right.
See that?
Yeah.
So, in clear view of that tower,
Right.
which affects
Maybe
some
if
people
they
more
would
than others.
Or if they would have taken this picture at night, you wouldn't have seen it.
Ooh, that's a good point. That's well thought, Ryan. 41 Longfellow Road. We are climbing our way to the stepladder district.
I know, but is this one a stepladder? Because it's like Dana Place and Longfellow sort of meet in the middle, but neither one of them connect
No.
Webster to Highland. It's like a footpath, I think, almost.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at it on the map, I think it qualifies. So we're going to call Longfellow
All right,
part of the
I'm
stepladder
in.
district. Any thought here? It is a private road.
It is a private. Is it? Is
It is.
Longfellow
Yeah,
private
it's said
way?
on the listing sheet.
Okay.
Town plows, but the residents are responsible
right.
for maintenance.
That's right. So, I mean, this is a Cape. It's a little dated, but move-in condition. 8,700 square foot lot. I mean, this is a nice little deal here.
So you
I
like
think
it?
the seller probably is pretty excited.
Yeah, I like the location.
Yeah, sure.
Walk to town. We like
You
walk to
betcha.
town here.
You betcha.
56 Elder Road is not walk to town, but it is a house that you and I both were able to take a peek at.
Yep.
And it's also a house that sold for $540,000 in 2012. So I would say those people did pretty well for themselves.
I agree. I mean, when I first saw this, I thought it was a shade overpriced, and I was a little surprised how quickly it went under agreement, and that it ended up closing a pretty good number relative to its list price at $629,000. This one's right across the street from some townhouses being built. It's a good sized yard, almost 16,000 square feet. It has some updates in the house. So I mean, I think this was a product of being on the market at the right time.
Yeah, timing is everything. I thought the same thing as I walked through it, and I thought the same thing 14 days later when it went under agreement.
Yeah.
Over to Barrett Street. There's a nice little neighborhood back there,
This
Barrett
is.
and Deerfield, and
We're
this.
definitely seeing some development there, and this one is in fact a land sale.
It is a land sale, and it'd be interesting maybe a side by side with the Gay Street and the Pond Street. I like this location a little bit better.
Agreed.
But I thought when it came on at $598, it was priced extremely well, and I was validated with the sales price.
Yeah, good for you, Rob.
Thanks, feels good, Ryan.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about that listing?
Nope.
Okay, then we shall go right off of Central to Parkland.
Yep.
Did you know where Parkland was
I
when
did.
you saw this listing?
Yeah. Speaking of radio towers, this one it's probably the same tower that's visible in the St. Mary's listing. This
sure.
is visible on this street. It's at Parkland's off of Central.
Right.
It's a little sort of, it doesn't lead to anything. You just turn off Central, you're on Parkland, and then you're done being on a street.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, this one, a couple price reductions, maybe went out of the gates a little high, on the market for 50 days. But hats off to them. They recognized it, reduced the price a couple times, and got it done.
Right off of Central. It's pretty close to 128 when you
Heading in that
trying to
direction.
get an idea on where it is on Central. 31 Norwich Road is our next listing that we're going to take a look at. This one was assessed at $510,000, sells for $655,000, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, before we even get into that, I mean, this is where we have a little bit of interaction with our audience.
Love it.
We as you've known, we're taking credit at least for coining the Olin Woods. We're taking credit for coining the stepladder streets.
Without a doubt.
So we're working on identifying a name for this neighborhood. This is the neighborhood that's between Greendale and 128.
Yes, very well defined.
So it's we've got a whole bulletin board in the office just full of suggestions. So if anyone has a suggestion, we'll tell you later in the show how to communicate with us. But put your thinking caps on.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah. So this one, we had 2 beds up with a sitting room on the 2nd floor and a full bath, a 3rd bed / office on the 1st floor. It's got a nice deck, a nice sized lot. This one, it says 85 days, but it went contingent after 5 days. So there was a spread between going contingent and going under agreement. So the days on market is a little skewed here.
Yes, which tends to happen.
Yeah,
I do think the
MLS
days on market should stop when it goes contingent.
I would agree.
This Norwich listing is near Greendale. So is 29 Brookline Street, which is our next listing. Brookline Street, as you know, is a fairly long street that goes from Greendale to
Webster,
correct. This one is closer to the Greendale side, which probably has a little bit to do with it selling for $662,500.
Yeah, a little bit under its list price. It was an entry-only listing. I also noticed it was offering 2% as a commission to the buyer agent, which is a little bit below what Needham's accustomed to. Needham's agents are accustomed to, I should say. A couple price reductions, one of which was only $500, so that was more of an attention-grabbing price reduction than a substantial one. But 68 days on market. It's in Mitchell, and it's a nice house. It's updated throughout, so somebody's probably pretty happy.
Speaking of Mitchell, when I tell you there's a 12,000 square foot lot and it's in a strong location, Bond Street, quiet street in Mitchell, 12,000 square feet, all those things. You think of a pretty high land value.
Yeah.
67 Bond Street subscribes to all those things, but for whatever reason, and maybe you know why, didn't necessarily command that really high asking price. Why was that, Ryan?
Well, Rob, it had a pretty good size easement on the property, which really prevented it from being redeveloped, and not only from a, you talk about a tear down perspective, but even for future expansion for the current. Whoever buys this house, you're really limited as to what you can do with it as far as expanding it because there's a good size easement on the property.
Right, and when you see buyer to perform due diligence on a listing sheet, that's usually a sign that maybe it's there's some digging to do.
Yep.
548 Chestnut Street. This is a charming looking home, Ryan, I think. It's on the corner of Chestnut and Fletcher.
Yep.
And sold for $552 and $05. I know it's a long time ago,
Yeah.
but I figured I'd share that information. But cute house, Ryan.
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac.
Yeah, we like cul-de-sacs. This one's almost 11,000 square foot lot. As you mentioned, the corner of Fletcher and Chestnut. Fletcher's a short walk from Junction. This one's been updated throughout: kitchen, mechanicals, windows. So a lot of those sort of, the things that nobody likes spending money on, being the windows and the mechanicals, it's been done for you. So I like this little deal.
Lots of corner
for
lots.
both sides. I think it's good. It's a good
Fair.
sale. Yeah.
Lots of corner lots. And this
we got another one coming up.
This month's crop next is 614 Webster Street. That's
Yeah.
on the corner of Webster and Brookline. And this is updated home as well, just like Chestnut Street.
Yeah, this is right across from the high school. This one sold in 2012 for $570. It looks like there's been some minor touches that have gone in this current owner's ownership. But I think the biggest obstacle to selling this house is probably, other than it being on the corner of two busy roads, is the high school. Like, do you want to be right across the street from the high school or not?
Right. Well, if you have kids that are going to high school, you probably do, but that's a pretty short window.
Right, unless you have a lot of kids.
Smaller lot, 8,000 square feet, but certainly a nice looking backyard for that one. 93 Hillside Ave, no worries about this one with regards to lot because it was a 16,500 square foot lot.
It's a big one.
Also had 2 driveways, but I like the number. If you
the
show
2 driveways?
No. Well, 2 is my lucky number.
More to shovel though.
Well, I think during the winter you're just committed to one driveway. Let's be honest, or at least I am.
Right.
But
it's a good point.
If you show me the specs for this house, lot size, beds, baths, square footage over 2,000, I'm probably thinking it's going to go for a higher sales price.
Really?
Than
It's only 3 beds though, Rob.
Yeah, I know, but as we'll see later in the show, you could have 3 beds and get over $1 million.
Right. That's just bananas.
But it looked like the buyer got a good number here.
Oh, good for them.
At least that's my take.
All right.
So we talked about Greendale before. Now we go to 773 Greendale Ave, and that one sells for $730,000.
Yeah, this is your classic flip. Bought in December of 2013 for $475. Put some money into it, and bingo, bango, you're right back out there at $730.
But a nice looking home, nice renovation.
Yeah, agreed.
Did a lot. It needed a lot too.
It did, including a back of the house.
Right. 142 Parker Road. A lot of Parker action of late as well. This one Some interesting color choices on the inside. I don't know if you noticed.
I did. What was our listing?
Yeah, so I guess you probably should have noticed.
Yeah, this is a nice street. As you mentioned, there's been a decent amount of activity. This is a 10,000 square foot lot, updated, timed well, hit the market at the right time. There was a lot of demand for it, went a little bit over asking. I think the seller's very happy.
62 Grant Street also was timed well. This one goes on for $699, sells for $745.
Yeah.
Walk to town location.
I know, it's funny that you mentioned the timed well. This one went on July 3rd, which would not be a time where I would advocate putting your house on the market.
Yeah, maybe that's why it was such a good time to do it.
Yeah, it worked out great.
It's contrarian, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right.
144 Greendale Ave.
Yeah, this one's kind of on the bend.
Correct.
So not really 128-ish, but it's on the bend. So it's kind of a busy bend.
It is a busy bend, near Webster. Yep.
But 13,500 square feet updated throughout. I went well over asking, so good job.
On and off in just 17 days. That's pretty quick. Unlike 6 Meeting House Circle, that was actually the next listing. Took a little bit longer. Was on twice. First went on in 2013. Did 6 Meeting House Circle. And I think 975 was the number that it originally went on for.
Right.
And was on for quite a number of days. Then went off. Then came back on with a different broker. Anyway, 152 days total. And it was a choppy house.
Yes, yeah. But it was immaculate. I don't remember you going in there. It was just like I was afraid to walk around, and it was very, very clean.
I think anybody who travels regularly on Central was familiar with that listing because you could always see that sign going by. But a lot of space.
Sure.
124 Parker Road. We're back to Parker.
We are back to Parker.
We're also back to another house that you and I both walked through.
Yep.
And this one I don't believe had structural issues, but it definitely had some settling issues.
Yes, I mean, to the casual observer, it may convey the feeling of structural issues.
I'm sure it would be downright frightening.
Right. So this one, has a pool, has a kind of steep backyard. It had been updated with an addition, and the addition definitely settled in the back, and it probably scared some people off. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of space. It's a nice street. Getting it for $805, you might, maybe do some work to update it a little bit. But it's a pretty good deal for the buyer.
Time for a history lesson, Ryan.
Okay.
Anything you can tell us about the Macintosh Noise House?
No.
Okay. I can't either, although I can't say it was built in 1823.
That's it? Like, I knew that.
Yeah, well, I was trying to give you a softball, and you whiffed.
All right.
I mean, what do you think? I had some great story about it?
Well, I expected something.
No.
I guess I'm left hanging here a little bit.
All right.
But $820, so on the market 11 days, 3,200 square feet. It's a historical house. It's been updated. This is on Noise, so it's that little or it's on Farnham Circle, but off of Noise.
Correct.
On the side of
The
Great
north
Plain.
side.
The north side. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Boy, that was tough.
425 Central Avenue. You know what I like about this listing? 425 Central Avenue goes on the market, doesn't sell, and so after 13 days they get aggressive and they drop it by $50,000. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, we like aggressive.
We love aggressive price drops.
I also
it
like
gets it done.
Yeah, it does. It grabs your attention. This one is, I like you highlighted the $1 million house on the quote well-traveled road, and is that the politically correct way of saying busy street?
I suppose. I mean, anything can be a $1 million house on a well-traveled road if it's a big enough lot and a good enough location.
I just like the well-traveled part.
Right. Yeah, it's it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Go for it.
Back to the corner theme of the show. Unfortunately, Ryan, this is not the corner of Glendale
It's
and
my
Glendale.
favorite corner in Needham.
But it's close. It's the corner of Glendale and Forest. It's 5 Glendale Road.
Yeah, this one, I mean, Rob, this is $533 a foot.
You know what, though? Glendale commands good money.
I guess, but it's 1,568 square feet selling for $835. That one is striking. It's $533 a square foot.
Ryan, it's the best location that nobody talks about.
I guess.
All right.
There's also a drip system irrigation for the shrubs.
I don't think that has much to do with the dollars per square foot.
Right, because it's outside.
Right. 45 Aletha Road, another good location.
Yeah.
This one includes 740 square feet in the finished lower level. It also brings us to another listing in a good location. That's 154 Elmwood Road.
Yeah, I think
sells for just $1,000 more than Aletha, right?
Right, and what jumped off the page for me on this is it illustrates how the market gets it right. So Aletha went on for $800 and it sold for $850. Elmwood goes on for $850 and sells for basically $850, $851. But they're very similar houses in very similar locations, similar sizes, finished similarly, and the two sellers went at it totally differently on their listing approach, and they got to the same answer. And
right.
it just shows you how as long as you don't overprice, the market will correct itself.
The hardest thing to convey to a client, though, Ryan, as you
Yeah.
know, is that you can't underprice a house.
Right.
Anyway, corner of Brookline and Falcon. That's right. We're going back to a corner. This kind of is the. I think you and I were both a little surprised with
Yes.
this number, but it has that recipe of the 4-bed, 2.5 bath
Yes.
in Mitchell on
Yes.
on at least half of a quiet street.
Right, but you've paid $958.8. You're not done. You got some work to do in there. There's some updating that you need to do. This one was a candidate for me.
167 Tower Ave has the same recipe in many ways
Mm-hmm.
that one on Brookline does. A little bit more of a quiet
Quieter,
location,
sure.
right? But and certainly close to Mitchell.
Yep.
But 4-bed, 2.5 bath. That's a good combination.
Yep.
And sells for $975. And it was, I wouldn't say it was updated. I mean, it was moving condition.
It was definitely nice, charming, but not like, it was updated the other day.
Right. It wasn't like built in 2008, like
Right,
say 328 West Street.
Better than
320
new. Better than new.
Better
That's one of our favorite
Yeah,
taglines.
but you know what? I feel like I've seen better than new.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't believe in it until I saw it with my own eyes. I didn't necessarily see that at 328 West Street, although I'm not saying it's not true. But anyway, 171 days, Ryan, this house takes to sell in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
2008, 171 days to sell for $810,000. But here we are 6 years later. You want to talk about a tale of two markets.
Right.
Sells for significantly more, and it sells in 29 days.
Yep. Good for them.
Attached garage in the back. 67 Cynthia Road is I wouldn't say it's a newer construction, Ryan.
No, I mean,
It was built in 1991.
Right.
So what do we call that?
young. It's
Young.
maturing.
Maturing. I mean, it might be mature.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. This one's off on its own.
Well, I can tell you I was mature at the age of 33. Or no, is it 23?
Gosh, that's a long time ago.
23.
That's too much math.
23.
So, okay, this one updated. It has the sunken family room, which I think you like. Do you like the sunken family room?
I don't think I feel strongly enough about it that
Okay.
you have me. It's the
Okay.
right person.
Finished walkout basements and nice lots, nice little location, and this one got a lot of attention, sold pretty quickly, and it went for over asking.
Abuts conservation land. 70 Grand Street, Ryan. Ready, set, go.
Okay, this one's my deal of the month for the seller, and I wanted so much when I walked in here because it looked so cool, and it was like drawn in, and I had really high expectations, and it just didn't knock my socks off. It seemed like there were some updates, but they were very cosmetic in nature. The floor plan was choppy for me. There were some undefined rooms on the first floor. I couldn't really figure out what was what. And it's let's face it, it's expensive. This one's over $400 a foot if you exclude the basement. And the basement was, while finished, it's not like you just automatically assume, okay, boom, finished basement. That's should be part of the square footage. So this one I thought was a little high priced, and then to say go over asking surprised me. So that's why it's my deal of the month.
All right.
There you have it.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Your argument, that is.
Right.
4 Kimball Street, right around the corner from 70 Grant Street. That's our next listing. This one sells for $1.3 million. Now, this is a newer,
Yes.
young house.
And I like this one. I liked it a lot. This one.
It did have one kind of small room in the first floor. There was a lot.
Well, it had something where you thought you would expect to see a dining room. It was like a bedroom. So that kind of threw me off. But the thing that, as soon as I walked in, I'm like, oh, this must have been a custom built
Right.
house.
Yep.
And it was. So when whomever originally built it laid it out that way because that's how they wanted it. And they did a really nice job. There was some nice built-in, some nice woodwork, and that's the beauty of doing a custom home. You do it how you want it, and this one you're gonna resell it for $1.3. Good for you.
Yeah.
So I really like this house, and I think this owner got a good deal.
That is not new construction. 25 Hewitt Circle is new construction. It's also our first new construction of the show. This one is off of Noanet?
Yes, correct.
Dead End Street. Sells for $1,329.
And the 1.3s are the new construction sweet spot. Right?
Well, yeah, it seems to match up nicely with the lot purchases in the 5s.
Right.
And the sales price of the new construction
Yep.
of the 1.3s.
Yep.
So I don't think either one of us are surprised to see that sales price.
No.
308 Cedar.
Yeah.
It's a big house, Ryan.
It is. It's a big house. It's also a big number. They bought the lot for $700, and the sellout in the.
Is that right? 700?
Yeah, and sell it on the 1.3. So that's a tight one. That's a tight one, Rob, even for a house that big.
But a big lot.
True. 26,000 square foot lot. Yep.
You don't see many 26,000 square feet. We don't usually climb that big.
Yeah.
So that probably had a lot to do with why it was purchased for what it was purchased for.
Perhaps.
On the buy side, at least in the builder's case. 33 Long Acre. Do you say Long Acre or Long Acre?
I don't know. I'd probably say Long Acre.
I guess it depends how fast you say it.
Yeah.
Brian, location.
Good one. This one's off of kind of near Old Farm and South Street in that area. our town of Needham.
Do you like that spot? I know that spot has been accused of being a spot that you could walk to a lot of shops. Right? There have been accusations that you can walk to a lot of places from long
You
Gate.
can. It's just what you don't disclaim is how long it will take you.
Right. I mean, I guess you can walk to anywhere if you put your mind to it.
Right. It's good. It's a good spot. This is a desirable location, I would say.
Yeah, so you don't think that they were over-enthusiastic with the location?
Well, anytime you're throwing capitalization and multiple exclamation points, you're always rolling the dice.
Right.
So, but in this case, I think it's justified.
What do you think about a 3-bedroom home for over 1.6
I know.
million?
I know. The Southfield Court homes are...
We haven't seen that.
No, it's bold. It's bold. These are really nice houses. They're all kind of built as part of the same development. They're well done. They have, it's like a private kind of association. There's water there. It's cool. It's a great little spot to be. But again, you're right. I mean, it's like, you drop in $1.6 million and you've got a 3-bedroom house.
So who's your buyer for a house like that? Is the question.
Yeah, I don't know. These folks.
Can you tell me anything about these folks?
No, as a matter of fact, I simply can't. But I think maybe it's a small family. 1 child or 2. It's looking for a lot of other amenities, and bedrooms aren't the priority.
Right. They want the amenities. They just don't want the guests.
Right. Exactly. But there's other places in the house where guests can
you can carve out some space.
So it's not it isn't barring the door to guests. It's
right. It just gives you a reason
subtle.
not to invite them over.
Right. Or for extended periods of stay.
Market snapshot time. This is the moment of the show where we take a glimpse into the future. Or into the present.
Right.
Probably the present.
Depends on when in the month you're watching the show.
Well, we could glean the future, some hints of the future by looking at the present data.
Yeah.
Market snapshot, Ryan. As of September 2nd, 2014, what do you see?
Well, if we look out the window, we see 86 active single-family listings, and now approximately half of those are over 1.3, which is interesting.
Right, but almost exactly as many as the same time last month.
Right. So it's still a strong market. I mean, we have that little window after Labor Day, which we're right where we are right now, through say the end of October, and even into November before everyone sort of bundles up for the holiday season in the winter. So I think we can expect to see. We've already seen it coming on with what's on the broker tour tomorrow. We've got some new listings that are out this week.
That's right.
So we should see some activity in the next couple of months. So I mean, this is definitely a time. Or I think we say this every year, where if you were sort of on the fence over the summer, as a buyer, don't be discouraged because we're likely to see some more inventory.
Sure.
And as a seller, don't think you've missed your window. This is still a good time to put your house on the market. Certainly
better than this previous summer or the upcoming winter.
Right, definitely.
Days on market is pretty high. Average days on market 123.
Yeah.
Certainly 436 South Street weighing heavily on this number. That's on the market right now. It's been on the market for 838 days. As of this broadcast.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the days on market is like when you're taking it as a snapshot as of right now, you're looking at homes that have kind of sat over the summer where it's been relatively slow. So that's a number that I would expect to see decrease a smidge.
Yeah, and average listing price per square foot $339, which you mentioned you thought might be a little low.
Yeah,
at least
it's below the actual sales price per square foot, but I think it's also indicative of the fact that there's 40 homes over 1.3 on the market. As we know, those homes tend to sell at a lower price per square foot than smaller homes.
People want to get a hold of us, Ryan. How do they do that?
They can call our office, Rob. That number is 781-707-6564. They can also send us an email at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com.
And Ryan, the reason people might want to get a hold of us is because they want to know what their house is worth, right?
That's the easy one, yeah.
They have other questions.
Yeah, I mean, we get calls all the time about the cost to renovate certain things, cost to build, what's my house worth, what kind of things do I look for to buy, what do I do to get ready to sell. It's really, we like to say that we cover all the real estate bases. So if you have a question that's at all relevant to real estate, don't hesitate to give us a call.
Or if you want to have some say into the naming of the neighborhood between Greendale and 128. That does it for now for this month's installment of What's My House Worth? I'm Rob. This is Ryan. We're going to see you again pretty soon.
Yeah, back to school, everybody.